like 2013 to 2018. Like I witnessed all the civic demonstrations that the Moors did. And you could really feel the spirit, like the spirit of liberty. Like all the people wanted freedom. So they was studying, you know what I mean? Like we was raised and we knew something was wrong with the government or whatever, but we didn't have no kind of information. But that gets me to RV Bay publication. You can't say when you first went on RV Bay publication that you wasn't in shock and awe, because they gave you so much information, man. But now thinking back, the civics are really used like to activate and awaken your neurons, man. In regards to civics and going through law, it really wakes your mind up and it gets it working and turning and gets it greased back up. It really lets you cut through with x-ray glasses, especially looking at politics and the president. Like I'll tell you a story and something that I seen within Biden. One of his U.S. citizens, while he was doing like a meet and greet, he started laying down the facts of his position that he was standing on. And Biden was like, if you want to step outside, we can handle this, right? But then I immediately thought of, when magistrates give an oath to the Constitution, because we used to pull the constitutional oath they had and then go to Mutual Liberty and get the insurance and bond numbers and stuff like that. Then you put in your complaint with their insurance, just like you hit a car. You pass all that stuff and make a claim just like they hit your car. And a lot of times the prosecutor will stop their vendetta with you, because when you do that, an investigation has to go down and it has to be an impartial party that does the investigation. But anyhow, I remember always looking at all these constitutional oaths that we got. Man, hold on, because I'm gonna show you the thing about Biden. Let me pull this dirty shame spreading magistrate's oath. All right. So when Biden said you want to step outside, within the constitutional oath that you give, it says, I, being a citizen, have not fought a duel with deadly weapons within the state nor out of it, nor have I sent or accepted a challenge to fight a duel, nor have I acted as second in carrying a challenge, nor aided or assisted any person thus offending. So he challenged that man to a duel, slap, slap. So he violated his own oath right there. But I want to read this too in regards to civics, and then Noble Drew Ali just comes in and just obliterates. When thou givest an oath, when thou swearest thou wilt not deceive, behold, it spreadeth shame upon thy face, and upon the face of him do that receive it. Learn to be just, and repentance may be forgotten. Learn to be honest, and oaths are unnecessary. A magistrate is supposed to use his actions and deeds, not an oath, to the Constitution. He is to secure, not allow you to waive rights and plead guilty. But see, you're supposed to be, if you violate that Constitution, it ain't just supposed to be a slap on the hand, man. It's supposed to be treason, man. You're supposed to die. So they rule by might is right. If a kidnapper has you in their basement, you can't slide a Constitution under the door and think that they're going to let you go. Like we have the title of when you commit treason, that is death, and all of that. We've seen things work, and we've seen things that not work no more. We've seen magistrates say in open tribunal, well, I'm suspending the Constitution. Like, come on, man. He can't do that. And if he did, that means death. That's treason. But he knows might is right. So you're dealing with a de facto, unhonorable society. So don't get caught up in trying to get them to honor it, because they're not honorable. They give oaths. Like, I've sat across the table from prosecutors and had them tell me, all your information is incorrect. And I'd be like, well, that's funny, because on these affidavits, it's nothing but universal law and declarations. So, and constitutional and res judicata, nothing more, nothing less. So you can't say it's an error. And if you are, then that means that you're just going against that. And that was enough proof for me. But see, I messed with them too. Because like they'd bring me in there and I go to speak to the prosecutor and I let them know, look, I already have investigations with the International Criminal Court with case number CR 192/13 with International Criminal Courts through the High Commission of Human Rights. Like, your state is already being investigated right now. So how can you try to get me for like a little traffic whatever when you're being investigated for human rights violations? And then they wouldn't mess with me. Sometimes they would, because they had a real big vendetta. Because I did like studies, man, and found out like at their tribunal or their courthouse, they used to take people and line them up and take them across the street and hang them by this creek. And everybody would be on the other side of the creek watching. And then they would throw them down in a well. Well, now the tribunal has a enclosed wall around it with a copper dome on the top where they used to throw the bodies down the wells. Dunking stools, just like Mother Anaida said a long time ago. When you send these writs out, don't put down any information where you lay your head. You know, in regards to it, like when you put down a mailing location, you better put down something where your head ain't laying, because a year, 2 year, 3 year, you might, you know, your case is over or whatever, they dismissed it, and then they come lay you down. You know, if a foreign agency backs you into a corner and is trying to force stuff on you, like forced servitude or whatever, get your documentation in, let them know you're not Negro, black, or colored, you know, you're a Moorish national and all that. But when they disgrace it or where they dishonor it, then you know, keep that. So then when they do fall, you can come back and get each one of them individuals, just like how they did, you know, as far as what they talk about in Lindenberg trials and all that. Have your documentation. Like I said, I have these oaths and these bonds of all these different people that violated, but, you know, they could be 80 years old and they have a knock at the door. And if not, they got to face a law with that. You know, each one of their grandchildren's die or something and they don't know why. You know what I'm saying? Well, they know why, because they violate day to day to day to day to day. Then they got to drink the liquor. They got to do the dope, all that craziness, because they can't look themselves in the mirror, man. They know they devils within or lower selves within. A unhonorable society trying to get them to honor some stuff, man, that they violated a long time ago, and they're operating by might is right. So like, let's say the state of Maryland brings you into their tribunal. Like little bitty things, man. I love civics because it turns your brain on. Like you could tell, like the plaintiff is state of Maryland. So like you'd ask the magistrate, like, you have any connection with the state of Maryland? And he'd be like, no. But then you'd say, well, you have a notary bond. And here's a copy of your notary bond, and it says that you make a covenant with the state of Maryland in the sum of 500 notes. So you have a covenant with the party, the plaintiff, that's trying to make a claim. That will be partial, you know, and then you have the magistrate grin at you, and he kind of likes you a little bit because he knows you're studying, you know what I mean? But in the same note, and in the same vein of impartial, those who speak of part and partial when it's part and parcel. If it was supposed to be that, the correct way would be saying part and impartial, because to be partial means that you're prejudiced to one side and you weigh more towards another side. But honorable means that you're neutral and equal until you find what's right and wrong. So the part and partial is wrong, because it would be part and impartial. Nonetheless, it's part and parcel. I just thought about it. Up on YouTube right now on Amexem Almanac. It's kind of back a little bit. But they have the declaration in regards to where U.S. is abiding by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Because if you look, man, all the way back, they was one of the few that didn't accept it. You know, they signed the Article 55 and 56 of the UN Charter to support the 5 fields of endeavor, but they said they never ratified it. So there was like two or three entities that didn't ratify the human rights. But I have it up on here where they actually ratified it and saying they're going to honor it, but like we was just talking about. But you hold them to that and put that, shove that document in their face too about the human rights. And Article 25, everyone has the right to adequate living, including water, food, clothing, and shelter, health care, all that. All that's human rights, born with it. There's no privilege be taken away. There's no paper with slave masters on it. You got to give them. It's human rights, man. Birthright. but you have to be in the right status. Even if you're a foreigner here, you got to be in the right status. Because if you're deemed stateless, and we have all the documentation about stateless persons and all that, the war for the stateless persons is what's going on. And there'll be 3 choices afforded to you. We done went over this, man. Well, we already into 10 minutes, brothers and sisters. So my conclusion of the Biden face-off with the U.S. citizen, he proved he is not diplomatic, because the man was coming to him with a stance and a position, and Biden immediately wanted to go to war or to fight in a duel. So anytime he has a disagreement, he's going to go to war. He's not diplomatic. He showed it at the simplest form of speaking to one of his citizens. He was ready to go to war. He's a president, so-called, of the corporation that has an army. And he challenged a duel. And if someone goes to a duel with him, that's war. He has soldiers. So yeah, he's not diplomatic at all. So you can't sit there and expect any honorable or favorable reply from these people at all. So you can forget about that, man. Allah guides the movement. When he decides to split United States in half, man, everybody got to go and barter and, go back to the old time, the merchant, sitting on the side of the road, man, flipping pancakes. But at the end of the day, he makes his bread. That's the way it needs to be. That's true money right there, man. Islam, peace and love. Divine honors the Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish Divine and National Movement, and the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, which was a civics organization. Islam.